Alright, sorry, my phone decided to turn off. Let's see here. Let's look at a few more of these cards. So yeah, really loving this deck a lot. Didn't I just see the Lovers? What? I literally just thought I showed you the Lovers card. Oh, I showed you the Devil card. Well, I'll show you the Lovers card. I was like, I just saw some butts. And then the Fool card is really awesome. So, great deck. Love it. So excited to be working with this in the future. I think it is going to be one of my main decks. So, that's why I'm showing it to you, because it's already killing it. It's already killing it in my collection. All right, so the next one is an Oracle card deck, which if you've seen my regular, if you've gotten a private reading with me, then you will probably recognize this deck. Typically I swap out my tarot decks, but this deck and the Vintage Wisdom Oracle are regulars in my readings, unless I do bounce them out for the two other Oracle decks in this on my live streams. And I will bounce out the Vintage Wisdom if I'm doing a specific reading, like an animal reading or a Ascended Masters reading. So it depends on the type of reading. But if you're getting a general reading, the two decks you're going to get along with the tarot deck of my choice will be the Vintage and this deck. And that is the Work Your Light Oracle. I don't know if that made sense. It felt rambly, but whatever. So love this deck. I want to do kind of a honorable mention. I did just recently get the Starseed Oracle, which is basically the sister deck. It's literally by the same people. This is more Starseed oriented. This is a little more like broad life stuff. The reason this is not in this list is because I really haven't worked with it yet. I just got it. So as I work with it, I've also thought about like mixing the decks together, even though they do have, let's see, what am I looking at here? Even though they have different backings, I still think that they would be awesome to mix. So if in the future I decide to mix the decks, or I really like it, it'll probably end up in this list as well. But anyway, this is the Work Your Light Oracle, and I really love this because this is how I finish up my readings afterwards. It's kind of like, it kind of sums up the reading. It gives some real like uplifting energy, and I just really love the art. It also is the same artist that does the Star Child Tarot, which is one of my favorite decks. I just haven't used it in a while, so that's why it's not on this list. But it is the same artist, so these two decks go amazingly when reading with that other deck. It's like literally using like 3 different decks that are like the same vibe. So I do like these. They have a keyword. They have, let's see. Yeah, keyword, and then some like, you know, it kind of is more broad. So for instance, this is protection, call back your power, cut the cords, soul retrieval. So these are really great for like intuitive reads. All of the Oracle cards I use, I don't mind using the books on some of them, and often I will use a book with an Oracle card, but I often won't use Oracle cards if I can't read them without the book. Like, I want them to be also intuitive. So sometimes there's decks, or at least for me, like if I'm just using it for me, I don't mind reading the book, but if I'm going to use it for a client, I don't want to have to go out and grab the book unless that's specifically what I want to do for that reading. I want to be able to read it intuitively. So even there's another deck here, the Moon deck, where I do like reading the book, but in a client reading, I will just use the keywords. So for me, an Oracle deck has to have good keywords, or it just isn't worth using with a client. And like I said, if it's for me and I'm willing to sit down and I want to read, that's fine. I just don't want to do that in a reading. So the Oracle decks that, you know, are on my top faves, I can usually either do intuitively or not. All right, so the next deck here, this deck is actually one of the older decks on this list that I have, which is saying something because it's still one of my fairly new decks. And I just pulled it off my shelf recently and started using it again. And this used to be my go-to deck for a while, and it still got it. And that is the 8 Coins Tattoo Tarot. This box is amazing. I literally looked at this deck for like over a year in this one store because I've never really seen it anywhere else. I'm sure it is around. But I literally saw it in this store like for a year, and I was just like, I'm gonna get that eventually, and I finally did, and man, am I glad I did. The art in this is really interesting because the art actually evolved. Oh, this is the back. The art actually evolved as she did it. The first drawings are definitely not as I'm not as big of a fan of them. They're a little more sketchy. It's more like this. But what's really cool is she didn't do it in order. So she didn't, because she didn't want all the major arcana to be the older art. So she did them out of order. So for instance, this is drawing number 66, but it is the 9 of Pentacles. So she kind of skipped around, which was cool. So this was like number 40, drawing number 43. So she kind of takes you through the that was cool. This was 5, and when I pulled it up, it said 555. That was really cool. So actually in the book, she actually talks about the different art styles she decided to use. And I will say her older style doesn't do it as much for me. I kind of wish the whole deck was in her newer style, which is more this. But the whole deck's beautiful. It really gives amazing messages. It's a great deck. I don't know if I would say it'd be good for beginner. I would say it's a little more intermediate because some of the pictures aren't quite as obvious. But, you know, it's about, you know, what feels good to you. Just love. Oh, that's actually the King of Cups. I was thinking of this Ace of Cups, but. So it is based off of tattoo art. That was her plan. So yeah, and I love the size of the cards. The quality of the cardstock is really good. I love it. Let's see if I can find some more of my favorite cards. Ooh, yeah. So beautiful. I want to show you the, you know, the tarot decks a little more, just obviously because whereas an oracle deck, you can kind of see the general. A lot of people connect very specifically with certain cards. I love the Star card. So, you know, I like to really give a good idea of what the deck looks like. Oh, in the world. So beautiful. So it gives you an idea of this deck. And so, yeah, there are some really abstract arts in here. So I wanted to offer that because, you know, show enough of them because, you know, some of these are really good beginner decks and some of them are more intermediate. So the next deck here is a deck that I got recently and I've been loving it. I use it a ton on my live stream. So if you want to check it out, definitely head over to my Instagram. And that's the Moonology deck. This is one of the few decks I actually will read the book because it's very based on, you know, the moon phase and all that. And I'm just learning about that. So I really want to give that like information. This deck is amazing. I had one other Oracle deck that was a moon deck, which I actually will be selling, which I didn't really resonate with. But this, I saw someone reading with it, one of my friends, and I was just like, I need that. So this is what the back looks like. And this deck is awesome. It has to do with astrology, new moon, full moon, all the different moon phases. It's just delightful. And it does have really good keywords. So this is the fiery climax approaches, and then it says the full moon in Aries. So if you like astrology, this is definitely going to be a deck you will like. I really like the art. It's really beautiful. As you can see, it's really fairly simple, but it's just absolutely stunning. And you can do it with keywords. I have done that, but also I really like this book. It's really good. It's very thorough. It's got a bunch of different like parts to each of the meanings. So, you know, it's like the idea of it, other meanings, what it means when you pull the card, you know, all that stuff. So yeah, if you like astrology or moon work, you are going to love this deck. And it doesn't go super, super deep, but there's definitely information that I'm like, wow, that's really cool. Because, you know, the way the moon and these signs work together is very specific. But if you like astrology, you could definitely read intuitively with these. Yeah, and it says, what do you need to release? Waning moon. So it has the phases too. Expect powerful change, new moon eclipse. But the art is just stunning. So highly recommend. So that's that. This next deck, another new deck that I got recently and I'm just loving. And this is, I use this for my animal spirit readings and also on my live stream. And that is the Spirit Animal Oracle. And oh my god, giant box. I am loving this deck. I have several animal decks and this one has to take the cake for me. I love it. So this is the back, absolutely stunning. So good. The art in this just gives me life. It's beautiful, and it has keywords. This butterfly spirit transformation is beautiful. I literally read this completely intuitively. I think I've used the book once. Not that the book isn't good. I just haven't had to use it. Badger spirit, be fearless and bold. Like, I just adore this deck, and it makes the animals seem so much like teachers. Like, so often animal spirit decks just, I like them, but they're just, this makes it feel like it's the consciousness of the animal instead of it just being like, here's a picture of an animal. And I just really love it. It's got almost like an ethereal energy to it, but it's also very earthy. Is ethereal? No, ether would be ethereal. Literally the opposite. But yeah. And the variety of animals in this, really love that too. Because some decks are very specific. Like I have an animal deck that's just Australian animals. I have a deck that's more like Native American related animals. I have, you know, but this really, I feel like covers, oh, look at that. Reclaim your power, Panther Spirit. You can't, like, I love this. Tend to the small things. Like, I love that so much. I love that they have crowns. I love that they're, like, decorated. It's just really beautiful. Whale Spirit. Trust the great mystery. Oop. We'll do two more. Beautiful. There you go. Love, 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 love this deck. And the last deck, I haven't been using as much as these other decks, but I wanted to add it in because I have used it enough. I haven't used it in client readings. And I don't actually have the box here, but that is the Teal, let's see. The Frequency Tarot. The Frequency Tarot by Teal Swan. This is what the book looks like. And I wouldn't call this a tarot deck. She calls it a tarot deck. I would call it an oracle deck because it has nothing to do, there's no like system that has anything to do with tarot. So I'm not really sure why she called it the tarot because it's definitely an oracle deck. But these are Teal Swan's frequency paintings and I really appreciate them. Even if you don't like Teal Swan, I know a lot of people don't. I resonate with her teachings. You know, I'll go through phases of really loving her teachings and then I'll, you know, pull away from it and come back. Like, and she's really helped me in very specific parts of my journey and I can't deny that. I've been to her events. She's amazing. But even if you don't believe in her frequency paintings, which basically she says she sees the energy and she paints the frequency she sees, even if you don't believe that that's true, that's totally up to you. The energy of these cards and the meanings, you know, just like any other deck, still have a vibrational meaning. And so it's really about, you know, do you resonate with her art? But I have found these to be very helpful. And I do have her frequencies around my spirit room. I do wear them and they work. They definitely work. I've experienced some really powerful shifts after working with her frequency specifically. So, you know, it could be placebo, it could be just focusing on that intention, whatever it is, I have found they worked. And I'm not trying to like, I know this sounds more like I'm trying to convince you, but just so many people have such a judgment because it's teal that they don't even, you know, consider that she's for certain parts of the journey, or, you know, that her decks could still be helpful. So I'm just explaining what my experience with this deck, with her frequencies, how they've worked for me. And she's very much, I feel like she's like an acquired taste, and she's really great for certain parts of the journey, for sure. And then sometimes it's good to take a break. But I think that's with anything. You know, if you just have one teacher, you really don't get the multifaceted experience. So anyway, I really do love this deck. John Michael got this for me for Christmas, which is a real blessing. I really wanted this deck, so it's very cool. If you like, you know, psychedelic stuff, you're probably gonna like this deck. So anyway, that is the Teal Swan Frequency Tarot. I don't read it in a spread. I'll pull a couple cards, see where my vibration is at, you know, see with, oh, I love this. This is the back of my computer. See where my vibration's at, see what frequency I should bring in, you know, to assist myself. And that's been really beautiful. Every once in a while, I will pull like one of those cards for a reading, but I don't do it super often. I mean, for a client. But yeah, so those are my decks. I think we had 9 decks, 1 honorary. So yeah, let me know if you've used these decks, if you, oh, we got the death card. Big transition, guys. Let me know if you've used any of these decks, if any of these decks interest you. Yeah. And let me know down in the comments, have you been on my live stream? Have you gotten a private reading from me? Obviously, it's hard to tell when everyone has like usernames and stuff, so definitely let me know. And if you're interested in getting a reading with me, like I said, you can head over to my Etsy shop down in my description. I do Skype readings, and I also do recorded video readings as well. And I like to have readings for like any type of like financial situation. So Skype readings are more expensive. My video readings are somewhere in the middle. And then I do $10 tarot readings on my live stream and do free oracle card pulls. So there's really something for everyone. So it's really about, you know, what kind of experience do you want to have? So check out my live streams. Like I said, I do those on my main Instagram, and I am going to start doing them on my TikTok. And I do have a Patreon account if you would like to support my content more consistently. And you can check out all of those down below. So thank you guys so much for watching. You are beautiful. You are amazing. Many blessings, you guys. And I will see you soon. All right. See ya.